Let me paint you a picture. So you're in your room, plop your camera down on the ground, press that big red button, and then upload it on TikTok. But 3 days later, you have 123 views. This used to be me. But that was until I did these two things that made me blow up on the app. Let me tell you what they are, and let me tell you how I do them. And as a little bonus, I'll also show you an example at the end where we do all the things that we talk about in this video. So let's get to it. So on TikTok, specifically Dance Talk, everyone does the same thing. You hop on dance trends, your friends hop on dance trends, everyone hops on dance trends. It's what the app is basically about. But you can't expect to blow up doing what everyone else is doing. You're not gonna stand out. So what did I do to stand out? I did two things. The first thing I did was cloning. Now you guys are probably familiar already with cloning. In fact, I know a handful of creators that are doing this thing on TikTok and they're really good at it. So if a lot of people are already doing it, why even bother? Synchronization is satisfying. This is what makes choreographed pieces satisfying in the first place. There's just something to synchronized movement, dude, that makes it look really good. But the thing is, it actually is easier to be synchronized with yourself compared to being synchronized in a dance group. Now let me explain. So in a big dance group, in order for everyone to be synchronized, you have to go through a process called polishing, which is basically repeating the steps over and over, correcting everyone who gets something specific wrong, like the angle of your hand, or your timing is off, or you executed something slightly different from everyone else, and your choreographer is breathing down your neck. Sorry. You don't have to go through the process of polishing, but you can still end up with a video that is satisfying. But here's how I do it. I use two methods to clone myself. The first one is masking. If you want to make it super easy, space your clones out, make sure there is no overlap between them, slap a rectangular mask on, turn up the feathering, and boom, you have a clone video. That's it. That's the easiest way to get a clone video. But if you want to make your video slightly cooler, you can do this instead. Have your clones be closer together, overlapping each other, and do something called rotoscoping. So rotoscoping is basically just cutting the outline of yourself frame by frame for the whole video. Now you could be a madman and rotoscope each frame manually, or you could do what I do, which is use an editing tool to do it for you. You take the program, you let it run, let it do its thing. Now you have a slightly cooler clone video where clones can actually go close together. But if you hate yourself and you want to make your videos as complex as they can be, do what I do. Combine both methods. There is actually a benefit to using ordinary masking over rotoscoping, which is that you still have the shadows that you're making in the shot. Other rotoscoping tools don't usually include that, so combining both makes for a more believable edit. Okay, so now that we're done with cloning, let's talk about the second thing I did, which is looping. Now, not gonna lie, this kind of tricks your audience. It makes them think the video hasn't ended yet, even though it's already gone back to the start again. But this is what you want. TikTok really likes it if people watch your video for longer. So looping is basically just finding a way to connect your last frame with your first frame. And there's two ways that I go about doing this. The first way is through the in and out loop. So the easiest way to make a loop with one shot is to just start out of frame, go in frame, do your little dance, and go out of frame before the video ends. But we could actually make the video a little shorter. So using some masking, you can go in frame right before the other version of you goes out of frame. And it just makes it look that little bit more interesting. Now the second way that I loop is with a match cut. This way you can loop your video without actually going out of frame. So how do you do that? This is actually pretty common in TikTok already, specifically in transition videos, where you take one big movement, then transition to another clip using the same movement. It's pretty much the same for looping, but instead of transitioning from one outfit to another or whatever else it transitions to, you transition from the end of your clip to the start of your clip. Now the thing with looping is that the start of your clip doesn't necessarily have to be the start of the video. In fact, it's better if it's not. You can hide the cut in the middle of your video where it's less noticeable. That's the one thing that you should do. The thing that makes your loops effective is making the cut invisible. Oh, and there is actually one other method in looping that I totally forgot, so excuse the different angle here. But the third method that I use is the hidden cut, which is having your clones rotate and have them have a point in the video where they're going behind another clone and hide the cut there, making the cut hidden since the clone in front covers what's happening in the back. Okay, now let me show you an example where I use all of the things that I talked about. So here's my latest video where I applied all the techniques that we just talked about, except for the match cut, since I opted for going for the in and out loop for this one. You'll be able to see that we find a way to sneak it in to the edit. So yeah, let's just go ahead and dissect this video. As you can see, I did 4 clones. This is kind of like a versus video. So 2 clones dance at a time. And you can see there, in fact, this video isn't even perfect yet. I made a mistake with the mask. You can see right there, that's still a mask that I need to remove. Pay attention to the guys wearing the beige clothes here and see how they go out and in again for the loop to happen. See, one guy goes out, then he goes back in. Other guy puts his hoodie on, then goes out, then eventually comes back in. Yeah, and as the guys in orange finish their dance, you can see how they go out of frame utilizing the in and out loop. Right there, they go out, then you see the video ends, and then we can go back to the start, and that's when they come in. So yeah, you can also see that there are shadows for the video. So yeah, this video is utilized masking for the shadows. It's utilized the auto rotoscoping feature to cut everything out. You can see they're really overlapping each other, which would be really difficult to do manually. And as for the loop, we didn't really need to do any match cuts because we do the loop at a point where you're not really looking at the clones at that time, right? You're looking at the clones that are dancing. This is what I usually do for these versus videos, since the guys are just standing at the side, so it's just quite easy to just make them kind of drift away out of frame and then just go back in frame, and you barely notice it. So that's that. If you want to see the video we just made without my voice or me interrupting, you can click here and subscribe.